Ring-a-ding-ding. Welcome Rotarians and guests to the Rochester Rotary August 25th Zoom meeting. My name is Ron Lichtel and I serve as the Rochester Rotary Club president. Would you all like to stand and please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance.
To
the flag of the United States of America and republic and nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, would you all join me in reciting the four-way test of the things we think, say, or do?
Is it the truth?
Truth. Fair to all concerned. Will build goodwill and better friendships. Will it be beneficial to all concerned? And it will be fun for all. That was a Wayne edition. Mr. William Gross, will you please give us today's invocation?
Will do. And everybody, please bow your heads. Dear God, we're so thankful for your blessings. We thank you for our health. We thank you for this beautiful day and the fact that we're able to meet through the gift of technology, AKA Zoom. Thank you for all the Rotarians here today who've dedicated themselves to serving the community. And we also pray for the Rotarians who aren't here today, both locally and around the world, that you guide them and protect them during these difficult times. We pray that you would give your wisdom to our leaders as they deal with this pandemic and its after effects currently. Please bless this meeting and our time here today. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Nice job, Wayne.
Thank you, William.
Thank you.
All right, guests, please enter your names, phone numbers, emails, etc. in the Zoom chat so that our membership chair, Stuart Signer, can acknowledge your interest and so forth. The 15th person today, believe it or not, was Julianne. So no fines for Julianne.
Woohoo!
If you have any happy bucks, please go into the Zoom chat and enter them and we'll acknowledge them. Let's take a quick look at that right now. Well, we have one that says, Phil looks like a stormtrooper. That's nice. He also, Darth Vader, okay. Jeff Fosnaw as me to offer a $5 happy buck because Africa has been declared as polio free. Awesome. Kevin Kelly, Rotary Club of Northville, thanks for having me. Any other happy bucks? From Shirley, it says, happy to have Kevin Kelly with us today. All right, we'll catch up on any of the ones that come in. Member birthdays today, or in this next week. Angela Delpup on the August 27th. Ted Ramel, August 27th. Greg Schaefer, August 27th. Man, that's a big day. That's also my son's birthday. Dave Dulio, August 29th. Mo Syed, August 30th. And Alan McClellan, August 31st. So we've got some happy birthdays to go out. Let's all sing happy birthday to our Rotarians. Happy birthday
To you. Happy
birthday
to you.
Happy birthday, dear Rotarians. Happy birthday to you. $5 please. We don't have any club anniversaries this week, so we'll move on. Club announcements. Tom Nouveau, you want to give us an update on a couple of things you got working on?
Okay. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So
Good afternoon, Rotarians. I have two events I want to bring to your attention today. So if you want to get a piece of paper and pencil ready so you can take a couple notes. The first is going to be on September 3rd. It's going to be a Thursday evening starting at 6 p.m. Location is going to be Rivercrest Banquet Center, and you're going to go outside underneath the big tent. There's plenty of room for everybody to be distanced. This event is going to be for just getting us back as a club. It's going to be open to your wives, husbands, girlfriends, boyfriends, whatever, but especially if you know somebody that's thinking about joining Rotary, this would be a great way to meet and greet. We are a good, well-kept secret. It's time to tell your neighbor or friend about the good things we do about town. So the hall is going to be serving an appetizer, not a meal, and all drink costs are going to be upon you. The club will not pick up your alcohol. The second one is going to be the club meeting on Tuesday, September 8th. We'll be at Innovation Park on Hamlin Road. This is the new park in Rochester Hills. The meeting will start at noon. There's going to be a box lunch and a beverage. Our very own Rotarian, Brian Barnett, is going to give us a short talk about the park. And I'm going to try to keep it short because he likes the microphone. Wear your most comfortable shoes because it's 1.5 miles around the park. The city's going to have some naturalists there to help with the questions. Stay as long as you want, leave whenever you want, but I hope you stay a while and enjoy this wonderful new park. Now I'm going to send out an email for both the social hour and the park adventure. It's a questionnaire. It's going to take you like 2 minutes to fill it out. I need to know how much food, tables, and chairs to have ready. The park is going to be a great place for safe distancing. Remember, both events require you to wear a mask. And lastly, if you don't feel like coming out and you don't feel safe for either event, then that's okay too. We will still love you. And that's it.
Okay. September 1, our next speaker coming up is going to be Amy Converse, which is set up by Tim. Thank you, Tim, for that. She'll be talking on the PPP forgiveness. Rotarian of the Week. It's again Roger Burke. Is he here today? Lord have mercy. That guy's going to owe a ton of money. He's at it for a while. All right. Before we get to our sheriff, we're going to install a new member. Actually, an old member, new member. Mr. Mark Tisdale. You've been chosen to membership in the Rochester Rotary Club because you manifest those qualities of head and heart needed to serve Rotary and impart the message of Rotary to those with whom you come in contact. I charge you to judge yourself by the Rotary four-way test and the things you think, say, or do. I wish to impress upon you that you're being admitted not only to the Rochester Rotary Club, but also to the Worldwide Association of Individuals dedicated to the Rotary motto of service above self. By virtue of your membership in this club, you'll be welcomed into the fellowship of any Rotary club in the world. And I've used that many times out of state. The honor and privilege of Rotary membership carries with it duties and obligations. You'll be expected to attend club's meetings regularly, actively participate in club service, and offer your knowledge, talents, and energy to the club in its efforts to serve our community. I now ask all Rotarians and guests to please rise. Mark, on behalf of the members of this club, I formally admit you to the membership of the Rochester Rotary Club. Fellow Rotarians, I commend to you our newest member, Mark Tisdale. All right. And charge all of you to welcome him, to engage him in our projects, fun, and fellowship. Let's all give him a warm welcome.
Mark, welcome back.
Thank you very much.
Welcome
Hey,
back.
Mark, you want to take a moment, Mark, to tell us a little bit about yourself that we don't know already? Golden Throat?
Well, I was a member for 7 or 8 consecutive years. And we had a $1.2 million hit to our book of business a couple years ago, and I'm happy to say we've gotten that all back in the interim.
All
So,
right.
so I'm happy to be rejoining. Actually, the the funds not spent on Rotary were a drop in the bucket, but we decided at home that we were all going to make some changes. But like I say, happy to be back, and I was a little offended in that after I left Rotary, it seemed like a good portion of the city council members then joined. So, but that's okay, you know. But no, it's good to be back, and good to see a lot of familiar faces.
Glad you're back. I'm not joking. I've been wondering when you were going to be back. Mr. David Blair, our sheriff today.
Oh, geez. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for the introduction. Boy, Mark, welcome back to the club. Thank you very much. I'm going to welcome you back with a $5 fine. So just go ahead and type that. The way we do it is we open up the chat at the bottom of the screen, just type $5. So welcome back. Glad to have you. Couple points of clarification. Yeah, Tom, definitely probably wise that the club doesn't pay for the booze for the members. That gets expensive really quick. I also want to point out the city's naturalists are going to be at the park, not the city's naturists, which is a nudist. So keep the clothes on, meet with the naturalists, not the naturists. All right. I'm going to find pretty much everybody here. I'd like everybody to look in is it over here? The participants tab of the of Zoom here. We're a pretty smart bunch. A lot of college among Rotarians, a lot of life experience, work experience. Let's do a better job with the names, all right? I'm seeing C. Haig. I see William Gross, no spaces, no capitalizations. Renee's got an underscore in there somewhere. Let's do a better job. $5 if your name isn't first name, last name with a capital letter. I don't think that's asking too much of the team. I want to start the sheriff routine here with a little story. We're trying to raise our twins right. So we've got them the Berenstein Bears Bible. And, it's to the point now where they can pretty much read it themselves. Each Bible story is only a couple pages. And Abby's telling me about one of my, favorite people in the Bible, King David. And she says, David led the people of Israel in battle. He was a good king. He defeated Goliath, and he wrote the Psalms. And I said, he wrote the what? She said, the Psalms. So what are the Psalms? The songs in the middle of the Bible, the Psalms. So if you've ever mispronounced anything, that's a $5 fine for you. It's tough, right? Not being with all the Rotarians, and sometimes you get a little bit sad. So I've come up with a few jokes here to maybe help lighten the mood a little bit, maybe make things a little bit more enjoyable. But in keeping with the sheriff routine, it's very important that you try not to crack up. If you do crack, or if I call you out before a particular joke, it's a $5 fine. So just keep that in mind. I saw Dick Speece joined us. Hey, Dick, what do you call a cow that has just had a baby? Decaffeinated. Rachel, what did Jay-Z call his wife before he got married?
Not fiance. I don't know. It's a Beyonce play.
You got it. Jay-Z is married to Beyonce, for anyone who's lived under a rock. So that's good. Maybe you dodged a fine there. Rachel, since we're picking on you, I hear you're pretty musical, and you wrote a song about tortillas, but it's more of a rap. Tim Duncan, I heard somebody brought their parakeet into Oakland Animal Hospital. Is he okay? I heard they brought him in for a treatment. In keeping with our religion theme from earlier, Andrea, you know, I heard that the Lord said to John, "Come forth, and he shall have eternal life." But he came fifth and got a toaster instead. So you gotta be on. If you've ever been late, it's a $5 fine. You know, it's no secret that I see a psychic. That's not hard to believe, right? And once, you know, she got up and went to the bathroom, but I couldn't hear anything. You know why? Because the P is silent. Jeff, I would tell you a joke about the cashier, but I'm afraid it wouldn't register with you, you know. Jay, what did one hat say to the other, Jay? You stay here, I'll go on ahead. Wayne, I saw Wayne on the meeting here. Wayne was telling me about his first time on an elevator. He said it was very uplifting, but the second time it, you know, it let him down. Finally, Steve Schettenhelm, he saw his dispatcher looked really tired and told him to take a nap. Just take a nap. We need you, you know, on the ball. But the dispatcher wouldn't listen. He was resisting arrest. All right. If you chuckled even a little bit, I want you to click in the bottom of the screen. There's a chat. Type $5. That's the minimum, is $5. This all goes to support Rotary charities. We use it for scholarships and for local events and things. It is very important that you be generous. And thank you so much, President Ron. Back to you, sir. And you're muted.
I unmuted myself. Somebody muted me again. That must have been John Somerville trying to head me off. We had a few chats. For David Archibald, he says he's glad to be a member, and other people saying glad to have you, Dave. And a lot of welcome back marks. Let's see what else we got. A whole bunch of them. A bunch of people like you, Mark. Let's see here. Awesome, you're in the club. Welcome back, Mark. A couple of different finds. Renee says, update my name. Oh, dude. David Blair, here's Jeff Whitby. I just read a book titled Daisy, the Emotional Cow. It was moody. Oh, boy. Tim Duncan, dad jokes, gotta love them. Jay Eastman says, great job, Dave. Yuck, yuck. All right. Mr. Tim Duncan, are you there? You're muted. Tim, you are still muted.
You don't show muted, Tim. Maybe your speaker cord is unplugged or your speakers aren't working.
May want to check your audio source. If you click the microphone icon, then go to audio settings, you'll see a drop down. You want to make sure that the right input is chosen.
I think that introduction is just fine for me, Tim. I'm good. I'll just take it from here. Thanks, President Ron. I appreciate it. Glad to be with you all. I must first be honest with you that if it wasn't the Rochester Rotary Club, I would have passed on this opportunity, since I have to come clean that I am in my swim trunks right now. Can you see? There's my swim trunks. And this is my view from here too. That's Lake Michigan. So if it wasn't for you guys, I would have passed. But I just love the Rochester Rotary Club, and it's a real honor to be with you all today and see a lot of familiar faces as usual. So thank you for having me.
Kevin, could you please introduce yourself and where you're from and so forth, because we didn't hear anything.
Oh, you betcha. So my name is Kevin Kelly, and I am the Major Gifts Officer with the Rotary Foundation, and also a member in the Rotary Club of Northville. So I live in the Metro Detroit area. My responsibilities for Rotary is that I travel Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York, and some of Ontario, because some of our districts move over into Ontario. I travel a lot, and as you'd anticipate, that's been severely impacted as a result of COVID-19. And Tim had reached out to me and asked, I think recommended perhaps by Jay Eastman, on how Rotary has responded to COVID-19 and how does a nonprofit handle a pandemic. So I have a little presentation that I'll run through and be happy to entertain questions, but I think it's best to talk about our health of the Rotary Foundation, since it's near and dear to so many of us. So give me a second while I bring up my presentation here. Hopefully you all see that. Start from the beginning. So first things first, I think it's best to try to give an idea of how Rotary responded pretty early on when it came to this. If you're unaware, the Rotary Foundation and Rotary International is headquartered in Evanston, Illinois, and we have 500 plus employees in our building in Evanston, Illinois. So quick on how to keep our staff safe, in particular with all the individuals in Evanston. So of course we all won't probably forget that week of when everything started shutting down, and the second week of March, and Rotary responded appropriately as well. We have a lot of meetings that take place in Evanston in April and May, and we quickly had to cancel that. A lot of meetings of people coming in all around the world to be trained on a number of different volunteer roles that they have. And then of course, March 20th, we had to unfortunately cancel the Rotary International Convention, which is the first time we've ever had to cancel our convention. And then on March 23rd, we had the announcement to keep all of our 500 plus staff members at home until April 30th, which now we have at this point a very skeleton crew that has returned back to work. We've had, of course, we get a lot of mail that comes in, contributions and so forth. So we've had a very, very small amount of staff that has returned back to the One Rotary Center in Evanston. But we probably anticipate not having a full office until 2021. And my travel, I travel probably 30% of the time. I'm on the road. I've been told I most likely won't be traveling until 2021 as well. So I thought that would be important to just see how we responded to COVID-19 and most importantly, keep our staff safe. And we haven't had to furlough anybody, haven't had to let anybody go as a result of the pandemic. So we're proud of that as well. And everybody is working full steam ahead, just in a capacity like all of us are today here in Detroit area too. So how does a nonprofit deal with a pandemic? How do you respond to a pandemic? Thankfully, the Rotary Foundation has been around for a long time. Our trustees are very, very conservative with the investments that we have. We have a relatively larger endowment when it comes to most nonprofits. We're now over $400 million in reserves that we have in the Rotary Foundation. So we're in a good position at this point. We don't anticipate having to let anybody go as well moving forward, because we've been through this before. You know, quite honestly, to be candid, I still worry about our smaller nonprofits that we have in our communities. So I've always appreciated the Rochester Rotary Club by just the fact that you do have such a focus on the local nonprofits and the community endeavors that make Rochester so great. And I think now is the time to really pay attention and make sure that those nonprofits continue to stay in existence. So help continue to support those in any way that you can. But I think the Rotary Foundation is going to be just fine in a good position to respond. One thing that did get impacted for sure was our polio campaign. We had to eliminate all immunizations that were taking place, since those are door-to-door. That happened in Pakistan and Afghanistan and actually 40 other countries around the world. So we had to put a halt on our polio eradication campaign. We haven't seen a huge amount of polio still in Afghanistan and Pakistan, probably similar to what was last year. But thankfully, we've been able to now turn around and start immunizing children in Pakistan as of 3 weeks ago. So we're back up and ground running. And as Wayne had mentioned in the chat, today is a pretty momentous day for Rotary, since we have Africa is polio free, which is very exciting. Our last case we had was in Nigeria in 2016. So it's been 4 years since we've seen anything in Africa. And so today's a momentous day. I just saw an email that came from our president, Holger Nack, so with the announcement as well. So it's an exciting day for polio. We had probably, when it came to dollars that came in to support our polio endeavor, we're matched by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation 2-to-1. So they give us up to $50 million or $100 million for polio. But we need to raise $50 million to get that 2-to-1 match. And our fiscal year ends on June 30th. And we had just made that $50 million goal by a couple hundreds of thousands of dollars. So it was really, really close, but thankfully we'll still receive that full 2-to-1 match from the Gates Foundation. So we saw, of course, a little bit of a hiccup, but we're hitting the ground running and hopefully closing the last gap of Pakistan and Afghanistan when it comes to polio. Just a side note, probably the hardest thing right now with the polio project is Pakistan, because we had they had a full regime change in Pakistan, and we had a good relationship with the former regime, and so we have a lot of people that are on the ground to help try to continue to speak of why it's so important to eradicate polio and working with this new regime, and we have some good contacts that hopefully we'll see some positive results moving in that direction. But that's probably the hardest part right now, is when we have government changes in Pakistan, Afghanistan, and by the fact that it's not too stable. This is probably a little bit outdated of how you can support, because we received a ridiculous amount of support for the Rotary Foundation when it came to how they're responding to COVID-19. We have something called the Disaster Response Fund. So typically what this is used for is when you have a natural disaster that occurs somewhere in the world, a lot of districts will apply for support. As you can imagine, we typically receive requests for grants after a tornado or after a hurricane for communities that are in need of food and shelter and supplies. Well, what is this used for is when we have money in this disaster response fund. There's a lot of disasters that take place around the world. It gets depleted rather quickly, and this is a bit of a checking account where we intend to spend all this money as districts need it. So we didn't have virtually anything in the disaster response fund when COVID-19 started in March. Even a lot of requests from districts, especially in the Far East when it first started, that were in need of support, and particularly when it came to PPE support. So the trustees made a decision from our World Fund to move $3 million into our disaster response fund, which got used immediately in the tune of $25,000 a piece to districts all across the world. And since then, we've received an additional $2 million from the trustees that moved money over. We received a large amount of contributions from individuals that were intending to go to Honolulu for our convention that had just forego their registration fees to have it go to COVID-19 relief. And I'm pleased to say Jay Eastman was a big reason why we received support here in District 6380 for a disaster response fund. We received a $25,000 grant for COVID-19 relief. And as well as over 300 other districts received $25,000 apiece, which was almost $8 million in support that went to districts around the world, as well as another $18 million that went in the form of global grants. So why I think this is important is for a large foundation, we typically, as you'd imagine, it takes a ridiculous amount of time for us to move quickly in any direction. So this was a surprise for me, honestly, that we were able to respond so quickly in the response of COVID-19 and give relief to districts to help our communities that represent so many of us around the world so quickly. And so it's a good thing to be a Rotarian, and I'm very proud to be a Rotarian that we played such a big role in COVID-19. Frankly, if there's one side of me that I wish we could do a better job of, and to be candid with you, I wish we need to market that response a lot better. Many more people around the world need to know how much of an impact Rotarians have had in COVID-19 relief, but also polar relief. We need to shout from the rooftops a bit more, and frankly, Rotary International and the Rotary Foundation needs to do a better job of doing that. We had a lot of clubs. This is, as you can imagine, there's so many different ways that clubs came together to help support COVID-19, to give my own little club down in Northville a free plug. We took one of our free little libraries that we had and converted it as just a free food pantry. And we've still done that up to this point, and we can't keep it stocked, as you can believe. It continues to be depleted, and our club has really come together to help support this food pantry, and it's been taken advantage of immensely, and we'll continue to do that until the weather changes. So you can see that there's quite a few ways that the clubs have rallied together, and there's so many more. I mean, I could have 100,000 ways that Rotary has responded to it, but the overall health of the foundation is good, as you can imagine. We're in good position. I really think that our moving, if I'll be honest, the first 2 quarters of this fiscal year are probably going to be the more difficult ones. I think we really rallied together in this last little bit here for the end of the fiscal year, but I think moving the first 2 months, getting through the holidays and getting through the end of the year, and the fact that sometimes an election does have an impact on how people want to respond to the stock market of what happens later. So, but overall, the foundation, we're going to be in good shape. We're going to be okay, and we're going to continue to make a significant impact. And to once again give our district here, 6380, the Rochester Rotary Club, if I could once again give you accolades. You are exactly what we should have all of our clubs in District 6380 try to emulate. You're always a fun-loving group, but you also make a huge amount of impact in your community. We need some more clubs to emulate that in 6380 and beyond. But you should really feel proud to be a member of this district. The district has some phenomenal leaders, and I'm looking forward to continuing to work with so many of our leaders, Jay Eastman being one of them, being our district foundation chair. So with that, if you have any questions, I'm happy to entertain those, but just I hope that some of the details about how the Rotary Foundation has responded to COVID-19 is important for you it makes you proud as well. So any questions at all? I see Vince had put one in there. Yeah, actually, Vince asked, will the foundation start pulling back or limiting grants due to the COVID crisis? Yes, we've actually not we've put a halt, not a halt, but we've stopped giving COVID grants because of how many that we've given, but also we anticipate now we're heading into the natural disaster time. You know, we've got hurricanes coming right now, and we need to be in a position to have money in the disaster response fund to be able to give districts some support moving forward. So we've pulled back at this point support that we've given through grants going to COVID-19. Any other questions at all that I can help answer? Yeah, we questioned about polio in those last two countries. Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, as you can imagine, the last two countries has been hard, but I'm really inspired. I've had a chance to meet some of our Rotarian leaders that we have, in particular out in Pakistan, that are just, they're phenomenal. They're not going to give up, and we owe a lot of credit to our frontline workers that we have in Pakistan that aren't Rotarians that are doing the work on our behalf too. So hopefully we're 99.9% there. Just a lot to get over. So, but thank you for having me. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those offline as well. But it's just always a privilege, and I can't wait to come see you guys at Rivercrest and see you guys soon. Really always appreciate my time I get to spend with you guys.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely, David.
So this is Dave Archbold. I heard with great interest when I was club president in Ypsilanti, I often talked about the fact that we need to do something, you know, with the whole marketing piece, and that we're a business organization, but we don't market very well.
Yeah.
But the second comment I wanted to make is, as we wind down with polio, and polio's, gosh, taken probably 10 years longer than we thought it would to get rid of, I really think we should look at not necessarily COVID, but pandemic type illnesses. I've thought about this because I've worked in international for years. About every 5 to 6 years, we have some sort of pandemic. Before this one, it was MRSA, and that was all over the Middle East, but other parts of the world too. And in fact, when you have surgery now, most times you have to have a MRSA test. Before that, it was bird flu. Before that, it was swine flu. Recently, it was Ebola. So it seems like we need to be prepared every few years, every 5 to 6 years, with this being by far the worst of all of those. But that might be something that Rotary now starts promoting, in addition to finally eradicating polio, is dealing with pandemics, because it's not going to go away, and it's had devastating results throughout the world, not just in the United States.
For sure. So, and that's the couple comments. One is everybody is very curious about what's going to be next. We have a strategic team of volunteers in place that are having those conversations right now. What happens after polio? So we're in position to do that. We've had confirmation from Bill Gates that whatever that project is, they would like to continue to support it as well. They believe so much in Rotary and how we responded. But we've also put a lot of effort. You know, when you contribute to polio, you contribute to Polio Plus. And some people they don't understand what the plus part means. We've been involved in every epidemic that you've responded to or that you brought up because of how well we responded to polio. When there's an outbreak that happens in a particular area, we know how to control that community to make sure it doesn't spread from that. Because of our surveillance teams that we've had for polio, we're involved in other projects when it comes to polio that's broken out, the Zika virus that broke out. Rotary's been involved in those projects to make sure we mitigate that as well. So it'll be very interesting. I don't have any inkling of what it's going to be. We've been asking that for years since I started. You know, it's kind of like, you know, when you become president, if you find out if we have UFOs or not. It feels like that right now, dude. Okay, you know, I'm on the in circle. Can you please tell me, give me an idea? And we're in the dark at this point. We're not sure what it's going to be. But it's going to be interesting. It's going to be because of how the fact that polio rallied so many of us Rotarians. Will we have a singular project like that? Some think that we shouldn't have a singular project. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. One last comment though, that's offline. I didn't even mention it's a very exciting time. I can't really comment too much about it because we're still in a holding period because it could get challenged. But the fact that we have Jennifer Jones that has been nominated for president in a couple years. Jennifer Jones is just across the border in Windsor, and so many of us, I'm certain, are well aware of who Jennifer is. But she'll be the first woman president for Rotary, and it's really, really exciting. But it'll be nice to have somebody that close, and who knows, maybe in 2 years we'll finally have polio behind us, and Jen will be the one that tells us what's next. I'm excited by that.
I was really hoping that clean water would be next because of all the implications to education and family life and everything like that.
Water, if to be honest, water and sanitation is very important to a lot of us here in the Great Lakes for certain. When I talk to Rotarians about supporting the Rotary Foundation, many times water is an area that they want to see their dollars and investments go towards. So I do think water is going to be on the short list as well, for certain. Well, I don't want to take too much more of your time. I know I'm sure we're getting close to the end here, but thanks so much. I really appreciate it, and I'm happy to help and assist in any way possible with the Rochester Rotary Club. And also just wanted to mention as well that I was really sorry to see that you guys lost a member of your club. Janet McPeak was really close to me as well. So just wanted to can't wait to see some of you guys. That means a lot to me. That Janet was just a great person, and I miss her a lot.
Thanks very much, Kevin.
Thanks a lot for all the information and your time. I mean, your time's valuable. We had a great group here today. It's great to have Mark Tisdale back, and I'm with you, Kevin. Janet McPeak will be missed a lot. If there's anything else, please bring it up right now. We're going to leave the Zoom open for a little bit because people kind of talk back and forth and meet. Anything else right now? Okay, with that, we're going to close the meeting out and leave the Zoom open for everyone. Glad to have all you with us today, and I hope you have a great week. Thanks.